Well, for more on this, we are joined now by Leila Sarangi. She is the National Director of Campaign 2000, an organization that helps to end child and family poverty in Canada. She's joining us tonight from Toronto. Leila, thanks for being here. I want to start with your reaction to all of this. How did you feel when you heard this announcement from Justin Trudeau today?
Well, I felt that, everybody is feeling the pinch, and so it's good that something has been announced. However, I was disappointed because just earlier this week, we put out our latest annual report card on child and family poverty that showed we have record increases in child poverty in the last 2 years that we have data for. 1.4 million children live in poverty, and this measure is not really going to help those families. So we were looking for something that would support low-income families, particularly right now when the cost of living is so high.
So, we just heard from, in Olivia's item there, from the opposition parties, particularly Pierre Poilievre, say, this is a tax trick. Do you think that this is all about politics or actually helping Canadians in a sustained way long term?
Well, we know that there's going to be an election, and we know that the Liberals are down in the polls. But our concern, our focus really is on pushing for programs for these low-income families. That is what we are concerned about. And when we can lift up those who are in the bottom of our economic distribution, we make better communities, we make better societies. And I think that that's what Canadians want. I think we want those healthy communities. We want our friends and our family and our neighbors to be healthy and thriving. And I think, people will vote for that. So we're looking for some of those programs, and the report card that we put out, we've got dozens of recommendations to help us achieve that.
So let's just talk about some of that. What would you recommend be done with this money that would have been a more effective use to deal with poverty, in your opinion?
So these two programs that were announced today, the tax break followed by the checks to individuals, costs about $6.2 billion. We have modeled a supplement to the Canada Child Benefit that's targeted to families in low income. The total cost of that is less than these tax breaks and checks to families. It costs $5.9 billion, but would drastically reduce childhood poverty, and particularly among families that are disproportionately affected by poverty, like those growing up in lone parent households, those in First Nation and Indigenous communities, for families who have kids with disabilities. So the Canada Child Benefit is a powerful tool, and this supplement, a new supplement that we've proposed, would cost a little bit less, not much, but a little bit less, but would have a huge impact on these families.
What about those that say, okay, listen, this is going to be right before the holidays. Some of the items that are included in this GST holiday are children's clothing, footwear, diapers, that this is actually going to help Canadians and Canadians living in poverty. What would be your response to that yes, it's temporary, but it's going to help right now in the immediate?
Well, low-income families have less money to work with. They're spending more share of their income on things like housing in particular. A low-income worker who's working minimum wage makes about $2,000 a month. To get a benefit from this program, from this GST tax rebate, the federal government is saying, if you spend $2,000 a month on these items that have the GST relief, you'll save about $100. Low-income families are not going to spend, $2,000 on the candies, the beer and the wine at the grocery stores. They're not even going to spend that much on clothing and diapers for their children because they just don't have that amount of money. So they may feel a little bit of relief at the checkout line, but it's not much, and it's not going to make much of a difference. And it's not going to help them to purchase, things like healthy food, which is what they want to buy. They want to be able to afford fresh fruit at the grocery store, meat and dairy, and I did not see those in the list of things that will have a GST relief.
The $250 checks that are going to be sent to most Canadians, those that earn $150,000 or less, do you think that will help?
So we had a similar program last year where there was a top up to the GST or an additional grocery rebate through the GST
Right.
administration. And we heard, yeah, it helps in the moment. It helps a little bit to get by, but it's not a long-term solution. We need to really address poverty and income security and in a really systemic way. We need to make sure that people are not falling through our income security programs and that we're really lifting those in the bottom up. And I will say that it's for workers. So what about those who are not working, who are the lowest income households, whether they're reliant on social assistance or they have disabilities and cannot work, or they're people who are caring full time for their kids or other people in their families? Are they going to be eligible? Like, we need to really take care of those who are vulnerable in our society. And I don't think that this one-time $250 rebate is really going to get us to where we need to be.
I know that you're a single mom, that you're working on this campaign as well for folks that are living in poverty, for families. What would your direct message be tonight to the Prime Minister about this announcement?
Yeah, I'm a single mom. I've raised 3 kids on my own, but I would say don't target it to someone like me. I have job security, I have housing security, and I have food security. I'm very, very privileged in that way. We need to take care of those families, of our friends and our neighbors who are really, really struggling. Like I said at that top, 1.4 million children. That's like 830,000 families are living in poverty. The latest numbers we saw, 6.5 million people in this country are living with low incomes. When we lift them up, we are bettering society. We're bettering it for everybody. We have less competition, less anxiety, less health issues in the long term. Research backs that up. And so I really think, and the campaign really believes, that we need to be focusing on those who are vulnerable in our society, who face systemic marginalization, and who we have the right and the responsibility to support and bring up.
Leila, good to have you on. I hope you'll come back.
Thanks very much for having me.
That is Leila Sarangi. She is the National Director of Campaign 2000, joining us tonight from Toronto.